Ciao Juventini of the world, my name is Giuseppe, welcome back on the channel. The press conference Sassuolo Juventus just finished. I didn't go live because I have other things on my agenda. At 3 p.m. Italian time, I will be with Joe Montemurro, the coach of the women team. Tomorrow, important game for them against Fiorentina. I will be live with him. I'm still preparing, so I didn't go live, but I listened, I translated, and I will report you the important things of what Max Allegri said. One day before Sassuolo Juve. We are playing away. That's why the press conference was quite early, because then they will take the train or the play, whatever, and then we will know who will be in the squad list. We know immediately that 2 players will not be in the squad list, and we also know that there will be a few under 23 players. So I'm not thinking that he's speaking about Mattia Sule. By the way, happy birthday, Mattia. He's today 20 years old. He's not speaking about Miretti. He's not speaking about Barrenechea, Iling Jr., because all these players are not under 23 next-gen players. So who will be there? Maybe Barbieri? My big question mark. Anyway, we'll come back because he spoke about a lot of individualities, and then I will close the channel speaking about 3 topics. The individualities of Gatti and Perin that are in a fantastic moment after the win from Sporting. I want to speak about Calciopoli because Moggi announced a documentary on Monday, and then I want to speak about the Curva Sud that is open again against the game of Napoli. So let's start with the words of Max Allegri after you, if you want to, of course, putting a maximum of like after subscribing to the channel. He started immediately, boom, boom, with something that nobody was expecting. Moise Kean will not travel with the team. Yesterday in training session, minor flexor problem, and it's annoying. The season is not over for Moise Kean. He will probably be there next week or in 2 weeks, but anyway, it's annoying because you are recuperating your players, like Milik now, he's back, and after him being back, it's Kean that is out. It's something that we saw so many times this season, players coming back and other ones going out without real motive. We don't know why, because it happened in training session. Again, small muscular problem, and if we know that this season 22-23 we had so many important injuries that changed also the narrative of this season, well, I can tell you that it's really annoying out of nowhere like that. Not that Moise Kean would have started tomorrow, but it's important to have choices on the bench. We know it. Milik had a difficult game versus Sporting. Vlahovic entered much better, but we know the moment of Vlahovic, so it's quite annoying not having Kean at disposal. Another one that is annoying me, frustrating me, is De Sciglio. We keep postponing the return of De Sciglio. Then you will tell me, Beppe, De Sciglio here or not, it doesn't change a lot. You are wrong, because we can't change the players we have. The players we have, they are 25 or 30, whatever. There are no mercato session at the moment, but De Sciglio is important. Important for one reason, because it's a player that during the game, he can change your formation, going from a 3-man defense to a 4-man defense, making sure that if Cuadrado is not performing well, he can go out and you go to a 4-man defense with De Sciglio on the right. He can potentially reinforce the left side with Alexandro that is not there tomorrow. Well, he could potentially have played in a 4-man defense on the left. Well, De Sciglio is not there. The last time that he disappeared from a training session, we had to wait a lot of weeks before having De Sciglio back. Well, again now, he's not there. And every press conference, Max Allegri is telling De Sciglio will be there next game, next game, next game. This time he didn't even appoint one. He said, high chances that De Sciglio will not be called up tomorrow. The good thing is said, we are speaking about next-gen players that will be called up. When he's speaking about next-gen, I don't believe he's speaking about Mattia Sule. By the way, happy birthday to Mattia that today is celebrating his 20th. Not Sule, not Barrenechea, not Iling, not Miretti, not Fagioli. All these players are not next-gen players anymore. They are first team. So I'm thinking, as I told you in the beginning of the video, Barbieri. Barbieri could potentially be called up. Again, this is my feeling. These are not the words of Max Allegri. But if I'm thinking about some players that are out, well, he could potentially be there. Let's see what will happen there, but chances to have them. And he also added, and they are potentially ready to play. Then he spoke about Paredes and Pogba, because it was a question targeting these 2 players. He said Paredes, in terms of physical condition, he's ready to play. He didn't say that he will play, but in terms of physical condition, he is ready to play. Are there chances for him to play? Could potentially be, with maybe a Locatelli resting, we don't know. If not him, could be Barrenechea, but he didn't speak about it. And then he spoke about Pogba. Pogba is not ready to play yet. or at least not from the start. He has not the possibility and the physical condition to start games at the moment. But he said something that yesterday he trained 20 minutes with the ball, high intensity, and he was responding quite well. So Pogba, the objective for the remaining part of the season is to have him for 20 minutes here, 30 minutes here at full capacity. Forget about the Paul Pogba at the start of the game. I don't even know if he will be called up or not for the game of Sassuolo. I don't know if they are sparing him the travels, because you know it, when you're traveling in train or in plane, it's different than when you are playing at home and that you're sparing yourself the travel. Travel is something that is making you tired. So I'm not sure. No new injuries. Potentially he will be called up. I think he will be, but of course not from the start of the game. Then he spoke about Szczęsny and Perin. And before telling you his words, I want to remind how not important football is. Football is the most important things of the not important things. I said it so many times, but it is really, because if we won versus Sporting and we were happy, if we were not happy about the performance because the performance was not fantastic, well, there is one image that is cancelling everything. It's seeing Szczęsny and Perin, goalkeeper number 1, goalkeeper number 2, together, hand in hand, and also hugging each other, giving themselves a kiss in front of the microphones, because we know that we were all scared about Szczęsny's physical condition after having a small heart problem during the game of Sporting. He was really scared. Max said, look, he's feeling well. If mentally he's ready, he's traveling with the team, but he will not play. Perin will play. Perin, that is not anymore considered a second goalkeeper if you are looking at the media. All of them are saying he's probably the second best goalkeeper of the world, or the best second goalkeeper of the world. I think that, like Allegri said today, he did an amazing evolution. He became so great, Perin, since the first time that he joined Juve, where he was probably not ready to be a first goalkeeper. Well, he worked really hard and he has the potential to be a first goalkeeper. Tomorrow, he will start the game versus Sassuolo, and I can tell you that I'm sleeping on my 2 ears. I have no problem at all with that. But again, football is not important when you are seeing that there is no competition in your team. You are next to each other. You are feeling great because you are seeing that your teammate is doing well. So important things. What about Bremer? Bremer could potentially rest tomorrow. Why? Because in the last few days he had a problem. He had a sore throat, so he was not feeling that well. He could potentially recuperate. If not him, there might be potentially a chance to see or Bonucci or Rugani. I believe that we will continue with our defense with Gatti on the right side, with Danilo on the left, and with Bremer in the middle. But that's my opinion. Let's see what will happen tomorrow. He spoke about Sassuolo. Again, the same things. Technically strong team. They lost versus Verona, but it was not really deserved because they played really well. He said a joke about it's the devil that invented the sport of football. With crazy things about Allegri from time to time in press conference. But then he spoke about Frattesi. He said, well, I watched the game at the time when he was at Monza, probably in Serie A B, and immediately I asked to Galliani, the president of Monza, together with Berlusconi, I said, who is that guy? Because he has a really lot of good qualities. So he was actually repeating that he's an excellent scout about young players, like he saw Fagioli. He was actually speaking really well about Frattesi. Will Frattesi come to Juve? Well, I don't know. That's another story. But potentially, attenzione to his words. Then he spoke, I told you about De Sciglio. He spoke about the offensive players of tomorrow. Who can play? He said that Vlahovic entered really well in the last 30 minutes. He played 60 minutes versus Lazio. He said, I believe that he can play tomorrow. So we can be confident about Vlahovic starting. Di Maria, we're not sure. He said he played 2 games, 90 minutes full. We don't know. So Di Maria may be resting regarding Sporting. Don't forget, next week we play versus Sporting. So I believe that Vlahovic can start tomorrow. Can it be with Federico Chiesa? Well, it could potentially be. He said he entered really well. He played quite well, Federico Chiesa. But I'm expecting even more from him in managing some moments of the game. Something that he was already telling him last season before the injury. Well, repeating it now. I'm expecting more from Chiesa. And I believe that, honestly, if we are all looking at Chiesa, we want more. We want that he totally forget mentally that injury that he had. And we want him him to be the Chiesa that we saw with Pirlo, the Chiesa that we saw at Euro 2020. Federico Chiesa has much more potential, and I hope that we can see, at the contrary of Pogba that will play parts of the game, I hope that Chiesa can see him for that last part of the season, for the remaining games at full power. That would be a fantastic thing. When I'm not watching you, it's because I'm reading. And then the last thing he said in press conference, the question was, what is the verdict of the 19th? And his answer was, well, the 19 is Leonardo Bonucci. Dribbling the question about Wednesday the 19th, where we will know if we will receive our 19 points back, yes or no. Speaking about off-the-field topics, well, one important thing is that the Curva Sud level 1 will be open again. Attenzione, because not everyone translated it really well. There is one word that is important. They suspended the ban. There is a difference with they cancelled the ban and suspended the ban. Suspended the ban means that they can reevaluate things, you know, like with a bit, not exactly, but with a bit like Mourinho. You can be there versus a Juve, and then we will reevaluate. So potentially they can postpone and they can still close it. So it's not 100% sure that they will reopen it forever or that they will cancel it. But at the moment, we open again the Curva Sud because Juventus went into appeal. My opinion, and I will always repeat it, that's my opinion. My own opinion is ban every single person that is doing crazy things in stadium. Can go from racism to violence to whatever team, whatever color, you ban every people. Is it 41,555 people that are misbehaving? You ban every one of them. Is it one person? You ban every one of them. The only thing that I don't want is that people that are innocent or did nothing are paying the consequences for persons that are actually misbehaving. That's what I wanted to say. Speaking about Calciopoli, a lot of people told me, Beppe, yesterday you didn't do a video, you didn't report the words of Moggi about new leak tapes and so on and so on. Well, I want to send you back to a video that luckily I had the chance to dub, a French video that I made, Calciopoli for Dummies, where I'm a bit surprised that a lot of Juventini are surprised that strange thing happens during Calciopoli. Well, these things, I'm following them since more than 15 years. All these things, I already reported them on the channel so many times. Go back, watch the video about Calciopoli. If on Monday there will be new things that we didn't see, that we never heard, that are really surprising, I will of course come back on that. And then finishing on Gatti and Perin, we already spoke about Perin, how great he was. Fantastic saves versus Sporting and saved us so much. Well, let's focus a bit about Gatti. Gatti, fantastic. The growth of a player that in 18-19 was playing in Eccellenza, 5th division of Italian football, nearly amateurish league with Verbania, and then he grew, to arrive at Juventus, where he didn't even play in the first part. For 6-7 months, he was on the bench. Beautiful words for Danilo the day before, saying how much he was an example because of exemplarity. When I spoke with Locatelli, and you can see it, I made a short about it yesterday, he said how great that energy of Mr. Gatti was. Well, a player that is an example of all of us, of not having all the tools in the hand, maybe to succeed immediately, not having any connection, not being labeled as the new phenomenon, but thanks to patience and work, he arrived in his objective. Patience and work, words that Brambilla, the coach of the Next Gen, told me when I told him what are really great characteristics that you are asking to your teams of Next Gen. He told me patience and work. Well, Gatti, I am, and I believe we are all happy for what he's living, and hopefully he can continue until the end of the season. That was it for me, guys. Put a maximum of like if you didn't yet. Thank you, grazie, forza, Juve.